Hi everybody, welcome back to Spruverse, my scale model universe, people of Earth. Welcome to part 7, yes, part 7 of Build the 1350 refit from Polar Lights. Number 7, lucky 7, I'm hoping. Lots to report and talk about. And I wanted to start curiously with these impulse engines. I hope they're impulse engines. I don't think they're warp. But I wanted to show you something. Take a look at this. So this is the 3D printed part I got from Shapeways. Beautiful. I was jumping up and down about this part. Absolutely jumping up and down about it. This is the actual kit part with photo etch in it from Paragraphics, the great Paul over there, and this is that part, and it was obviously a clear part, and I have light blocked it, and I put the photo etch in. Original part, 3D printed part. Now, if you are super, you know, if you've got super spidey sense, you'll see that this part here is squat and taller than this part. Now, it's interesting to me because I'm not entirely sure whoever printed this over at Shapeways, bless their heart, actually had the kit, actually had the model. I don't know. Because here is your saucer, okay, and here is the sort of how it's going to sit on this shelf here at the back, okay, and so. What I did was I got all excited because I go, you know what, I'm going to just make sure that this is all looking clean. And so I took the 3D printed part and I sat it down on the actual, you know, where it locates. And there's a couple of things that actually kind of pop out at you. The first thing that pops out at you is that it's too proud. If I tip it up, you can see it's too proud, so the neck won't sit nicely on it. It just won't. It doesn't fit. That's number one. Number two is you can see that there is gappage on both sides. Let's see if I can get you closer. Whoa! It fell off. Let me get it back on there. There you go. That's good. Yeah, that's helpful. And you can see, I mean, I've got just all kinds of problems with this, not to mention the fact that it doesn't fit. Now, you could say, well, maybe it can be cleaned up. I don't think it can. So I went with the actual piece that goes with the kit, and it sits very nicely on the model. And when you look at it, it actually looks like it's in proportion. So this is one of those instances where I didn't bother to do a dry run with that part. I just automatically assumed that it would fit. It doesn't fit. So we move on. While we're on the saucer, I have been doing the puttying and the sanding, and without exaggeration now, I'm well into a week, if not more, 7 or 8 days of puttying and sanding. and it's still not perfect. I don't think I'm ever going to get it perfect, but I'm getting close. So I'm continuing to sand. I'm now down to literally working on some of just the minor imperfections and these bloody joins here. I'm using Mr. Surfacer, and I'll slowly get rid of that piece, that little imperfection there. I'm working on it on one here, and other than that, it's looking pretty good. I've got a little bit of cleanup to do here. The windows and the frame for that will be something I do at the very, very end. I'm not going to do it now. There's no need to put those windows in now, but everything else is looking pretty good. So my plan for this now is, once I get those minor imperfections taken care of, I'm going to give this a sanding, and I'll probably go to about 2000 grit, just so that it feels really smooth. And then I'm done with it. It will be ready to go to final paint. Now we'll talk a little bit about final paint in just a minute. I just want to go through the sub-assemblies with you. And then we'll talk about final paint and what the next steps are. But what I'm hoping to do in this update is fire it up for you, so we can see all the lights working. And that's going to require me to go around and clean up all of the lenses and just make sure that everything is scraped and can be seen, and then we'll test this puppy and see what we've got. Don't quite know how we're going to do that yet. We'll figure it out. I'll get it on the bench. It'll probably be in its sub-assemblies. It won't be together as a ship, only because I don't think there's any way to do that safely. But we'll ponder that in the next segment. Okay, so that is the saucer. Here is your secondary hull and your pylons, and lot to unpack here, and some things I want to sort of talk about and share with you. The first thing I want to talk about right out of the gate is the way this is excuse me, the way this is engineered. Not incredibly happy with it. It's not loose. The part that well, here, let me take it off and show you close up, because it's I think it's important. And the reason why I'm taking time to show you this and whine about it is because this is the way I've chosen to go, right? So it's not like I could reverse course and go in another direction. And I know I'm going to get a bunch of my subscribers going, well, why did you do that? And why did you go in that direction? And you could have used a different pole. You caused yourself all kinds of grief. You're right. You're right. But these items are available on the market. And no, you don't have a gun to your head to use them. But as I sort of thought about it, I liked the cleanliness of this. I liked the way you could detach it to work on it, and then in final assembly put it on and off you go. Too often I've had to struggle with a whole bunch of wires that have to go in, and then you've got to glue it, and then you've got to hold it in place. And now that's not to say I'm still going to have that problem, but this is the way I went. It's solid into the hull, but this piece here is actually not strong enough, in my opinion, to hold this. So I think what I'm going to have to end up doing is sourcing some kind of a little acrylic stand just to give it some support in the back, I think, which will be a shame but I think that's the way it's going to go. I can tell you, once you've plugged this in, once you've sat it down on your base, and you screw this up to lock it in place. What you discover is that the weight of it is kind of bending it back. Now the neck and the saucer will force it forward, and that might be all it needs. I don't know, but not terribly, not terribly well kind of looked after, if you know what I mean. You know, you put this on the shelf, and I don't know. So the jury's out on this setup. But this is what I've got, and so I'm going to live with it. But I do think I'm going to end up with a piece of acrylic, maybe even a little support beam that I'll put in. Maybe it'll just be a little acrylic beam. I don't know. But that will help, and I think it'll be fine. Okay. If you've been following me on Instagram, you'll know that I've got all my wires neatly packed in. I've got my plugs all covered here, but we'll remove those in just a little bit. And I've been having a little bit of an issue with my shuttle bay, and I'll tell you what happened. So if you recall in my previous updates, let me just get this out of the way for a second. I was having some issues with my shuttle bay. And the issue I was having was that the lower portion of the secondary hull was not coming together nicely with the shuttle bay in it. Now, this is completely operator error. I made a mistake, and the mistake that I made was that, and it had nothing to do with the lighting bundle, curiously. It had to do with the fact that I didn't pay attention, and when I put the shuttle bay down on its locator pins, they weren't all the way down. They weren't flush. You need to be pretty darn accurate with this model. Your pins have to take it all the way to where it's seated flush. And you do need those pins because they help you hold it in place and line it up. But I didn't take the extra step of making sure that those pins sat absolutely flush with the shuttle bay. The net result is I was off by about a millimeter, maybe two. Millimeter and a half, maybe two. The net result of that, of course, is that it wouldn't close up with the underneath part. So what I've had to do is I have had to epoxy sculpt, which I have done, and fill in this gap. Now I think I've done a pretty good job. Everything looks clean and sealed. It just needs a light sanding, but it is slightly thicker. I don't know if you'd have noticed it if I hadn't pointed it out, but I wanted to point it out because I want to be transparent about what I'm doing, in case any of you run into this. And a little bit of epoxy sculpt saved the day. And I got a beautiful curve on it, actually. So that was my, my shuttle bay train wreck. It is what it is. It's going to be fine. It'll clean up quite nicely. And then I have a whole bunch of subscribers, awesome people, by the way, who are very kind to give me coaching suggestions, help me, from leaping off a cliff, and are very supportive of what I'm doing. And a couple of you said, knock off the whining about the locator pins and the pylons. Put the bloody pylons on, glue them down to that surface properly. The locator pins will make sure it's square. You won't need a bloody jig, and move on with your life. And do you know, I actually very gingerly put these nacelles on the other day, and they're absolutely right. They're square. they're pretty darn square. So as long as you know you've got a pretty decent gluing surface here. Now what I have done is I've put a little bit of my epoxy sculpt behind these, just so that, you know, to give it a little bit of rigidity. Anyway, so that all I've got to do now is make sure these locator pins are very, very clean, which I will do. And then that this surface is nice and clean, which I will do. And then I should be able to, in final assembly, just pop those nacelles on, glue them in place, hold them in place, and they should be fine. As long as they are all the way flush on here, and you've got a good amount of, I'm going to use 5-minute epoxy, I think, when I eventually glue these together. And I think you'll be fine. So I am going to take some time, clean up these pylon connectors, make sure the pins are clean, everything's clean, and I should be good to go. That is the secondary hull. I also have, as you know, completed the nacelles. Well, when I say completed, I mean they are ready for paint. Here they are. Here they are. They are ready to go. So obviously this will have to be masked. My chiller grill will have to be masked. And then I'm off to the races. So I've got 2 nacelles ready to go. So what does that mean? Well, it means now that I am dangerously close to being able to start the painting process, which is terribly exciting. So all of this is going to get another light sanding. I'm going to clean up all of the lenses because I'm going to do a test fire, and I'll do that for you guys in this setup. So we'll take a look at the test fire, and then we will be ready to paint. So well, proceed to the painting step. And I will talk about that in great detail at the conclusion of this Part 7 update. So you'll want to stick around to the end if you want to find out just exactly what's going on now with the continuation of this build-up. Okay, so that's sort of where we are. Talking about a couple of my goofs, a couple of my challenges. I think we're in relatively good shape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean up all the little lens points so that all my light sources are clean of any paint. And I'll figure out how to sort of present this to you, and we'll fire this up to make sure everything is working. Not that it matters, but I know everybody wants to kind of see it, and I do too. But I have to say, if something's gone wrong now, I just think I'm out of luck, because unless it's a bad board, and I don't think it'll be a bad board, it's going to be a short in something that's already sealed up. Good night, Charlie. I just, you know, I think that will sort of be the end of that. But anyway, okay, the lights are on and someone is home, and this thing is put together with a hope and a prayer. So I'm going to try desperately to fire this up and let's see what we've got. I'm doing this with you, so I do not know what the result is going to be. But here we go, because it had to be done. So, and then what I've got is I've got a little bit of everything here for you, as you can see, so that we can sort of look around and see what we've got, okay? So, I'm going to start with the wide and power on. And so far so good. Power comes on, and I've got lights to the neck. I've got lights inside the lower hole, and it's kind of a moody kind of look. So that's pretty good. So that's power on. Now I'm going to do start up, and so bang. It's pretty good. Startup looks pretty good, and got some light going on everywhere. Let's sort of start to look around. Everything is sort of up, and crystal is lit. Impulse engines are lit. That's looking good, and that's looking good so far. So what I don't have yet is I haven't seen my shuttle bay turn on. I hope I'm okay there. Don't know just yet. Don't know just yet. But everything is on and flashing. Yellow light on the front here of my deflector dish, and that's looking good too. I'm going to take that down and see if I can't get this on camera for you. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm being very, very careful here. So let me see if I can get this to camera. There we go. Oh, there. Okay, so I'll hold that there. And let's see if we can do warp. So see if anything is changing here. Nothing yet. Let's do this. See if I can get my nacelles to fire up. There are the nacelles. That's looking really good. See here, so you can see the nacelles are on. They look really nice. So that's pretty cool. And we're all in blue, as you can see here, but still no shuttle bay. So I'm going to have to investigate that. Something might not be plugged in correctly. I'm not sure. Let me see about red alert here. There's red alert. That red light goes on. So that's pretty good. Okay, so let's undo that. It looks pretty good. Still no shuttle bay flashing lights. So I wonder what's going on there. Not sure. As you can see from this angle, well, let's do this one. There. My shuttle bay is not turning on. So this is all looking good. We'll go back to impulse. There, that's all changing nicely. So far everything is looking really good. I'm really happy. Everything is on. Yeah, so far so good. Rec deck isn't on, not sure about that, so that could be a problem, but there we go. So let's see about these. I wonder if just looking to see if I've got any flash at all from these phasers. Oh, yes, I do. That is very cool. My phasers are working. Loving that. I got a little bit of cleanup there, but they are working. Everything is good, except I don't have my shuttle bay lights. How about that? Don't have them. So I'm going to troubleshoot that and see if I can figure that out. And we'll come back for one quick look at that if I can get that fired up. Otherwise, you know, hey, I would say a result, all things considered. So stick around. Let me just see if I can troubleshoot the shuttle bay landing lights. Hoping I can, and we'll take one last look at this before we very quickly disassemble this and get out of this nightmare. Okay, stick around. Okay, I did some troubleshooting and I broke everything down, and I don't know whether I had a loose wire or what, but I started to freak out because my impulse crystal on top wouldn't turn blue, and I could not get my chase lights on my landing bay to work, but they're working now. There they are. So that's all working. I'm relatively happy with everything. I've got a couple of issues, I think, in terms of light in the shuttle bay. It's not bright enough. I'm looking here, just inside. I've got light definitely in the back, but it's not super bright on top. I mean, it's obviously chasing. But then I thought to myself, well, how bright? I don't know how bright it would be. But it is all working now. And so that is all that matters. Okay, so that is where I just wanted to sort of show you that I've got all the lights working, and so I'm very happy with that. Okay, I'm going to shut this down, and we'll have some final thoughts. Okay. Well, that was a journey into insanity. I wanted to sort of show you with all the lights on. I did not get a chance to clean up all the lenses on everything, so it wasn't perfect. I still got some puttying and sanding to do, and I've got to figure out how to get the bundle where the deflector shield is. I've got to figure out how to get that further in. But it did appear as though I was creating a short when everything was sort of shoved in there. So I've got a lot to figure out here, and I'm going to try and put some earth magnets on that deflected dish housing. Otherwise, you'll never get into the guts of it. And what I'm concerned about is if I glue that in and I have another short, I won't be able to rectify it. At least I was able to rectify this, obviously. It is a beast. It is a beast. The nacelles will line up, definitely. So my good subscribers are correct. Those who have built this model, you're absolutely correct. The pins will line it up, and as long as it's glued in correctly, they shouldn't go anywhere. It is relatively top heavy. It's not terrifically sturdy on this base, but it's what I have to work with, and so I'm going to sort of try to plow on and get this thing finished. So to paint it, what happens now? Well, surprise, surprise, I'm going to shut this build down, if you can believe it or not, and we're going to pick it up again next year in early April. And that is because I have a surprise guest coming to Spruver Studios to not only give us a masterclass on how to paint this, but also how to use the masks. There'll be more about that in the new year, but that's all I'll say about it at this point. But I'm more than excited. If you've followed along on this build, thank you for coming on this journey with me. I greatly appreciate it. Please have patience with me. I am going to start a brand new build after part 7, and then obviously part 8. I don't know if there'll be a 9 and a 10. It depends on how far we get on the painting process. This is definitely a challenge. I feel a lot more confident with it now. Interestingly enough, there's a part of my brain now that is spinning and going, God, let me start another one. Let me start again now I know what I'm doing. It's a lot of work, but well worth it. And I'm excited to have this in my collection. So that's it for this update, the Part 7 update. And we'll see you again. Obviously, there'll be a new build up hopefully next week. But in the meantime, this build will continue in April of next year. So mark your calendars, because I think it's going to be fun anyway. As always, everybody, I wish you all, please be well, be safe, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.